Hello guys, what's up and how are you doing on this quiet Sunday? I hope all of you are doing really well and you're enjoying the football that we have. I know there's not a lot. The Premier League being off and all major European competitions on hold because of the qualifiers. There's not a lot out there that, gets you up off your sofas to celebrate and that, but we still had qualifiers, and actually that's what we're talking about today. Now there's Euro qualifiers, and we've also got the African Cup of Nations. Those two continents are playing out their qualifiers for the main show for their continents. Anyway, we'll start with the Euro qualifiers. The biggest headlines, I would say, England being held 1-1 away to Ukraine. Actually, they played the game in Poland, so it's a neutral ground. So you'd think, already England have got, they're a better team. They should play better in that game. They should win that game comfortably. But they played out a 1-1 draw. Actually, they had to come from behind to actually pick that draw up. The other headline was Italy being held to an away draw to one of the smaller teams in Europe as well. So anyway, today we want to focus on England, and looking at that starting lineup, I don't know what Gareth Southgate is thinking, because why would you pick players who are not playing for their clubs? I'm talking about Harry Maguire. Why is he starting that game? United don't fancy him. Why would you pick him? Anyway, that was one of the first things I spotted. The other thing is that why didn't he call up Raheem Sterling? Raheem Sterling is killing it for Chelsea. On form, is one of the players on form. He should be playing in that team. He should be. If Raheem Sterling plays that game, they probably win it. So that is the other talking point. The other talking point is how is he calling out players playing in the Saudi Pro League? Yeah, Henderson. Yes, he was a good player at Liverpool, but he was competing in the Premier League, and there's a major difference. Yes, just because the Saudi Pro League has picked up a few individuals here and there, it's still not a competitive league. In fact, these players, they're on a beach. So Henderson shouldn't be playing for England anymore. The moment you leave Europe and go to the Saudi Pro League, you're going to the beach. They're just getting paid big money, and that league is not competitive enough. So Gareth Southgate, you need to look at how you're picking these players, and pick the players that actually are playing in the top European leagues, and then you stand a chance. And also the formation that England were playing, it looked like England were playing for a draw, and which is really embarrassing, because Ukraine, listen, that country's got all sorts of problems. They don't even play their games at home. You should be battering those 5-0. So that's the first result that stood out for me before Italy drew their game. And these are major clubs in Europe. They should be winning these games. So Gareth Southgate, you need to look at your selection. I know the problem with Gareth Southgate, he's always had favourites, and he's sticking with those favourites. But favourites can get you beat, So you can't stick to players. You can't stick with players just because they used to do a job for you and you think they'll do the same job. Pick the players that are playing week in, week out in the Premier League. It's the strongest league. It's the best league. It's the most competitive league in the world. Pick players that are playing. Raheem Sterling had to start that game. He's not even in the squad. That is criminal. You don't do that. The other thing, someone like Maguire, all the other players that are not playing, if their club is not picking them, why would you pick them? Just because they used to do a job for you. Pick the players, call up players, be brave, core players that are performing week in, week out in the Premier League, or at least La Liga, or Serie A, or Ligue 1, in France. Those are competitive leagues. So pick players who are playing in there, and then you have no problem. So for me, that was the biggest major talking point. And the other talking point in that game is Mikhailo Modric for Chelsea. From the Chelsea side of things, listen, this guy, did Arsenal really dodge a bullet by not signing this guy? He runs, he deceives, no end product, And I think he jumped off injured. Now, he's probably going to come back at Chelsea injured. But he's not even got started at Chelsea. But every time I see him play, he's got pace and everything. But he gets onto the byline. Yesterday, he was up against Kyle Walker. And Kyle Walker is quick. But Mikhailo Modric, for me, is the quickest player in the Premier League. He's got the pace. You get in that box, you have to protect that ball. The only way you're losing that ball is if the defender gives a penalty away. But he got so many times he got in that position, and the ball ended up into a goal kick or a corner or whatever. But he needs to do better. And I think Chelsea, as a Chelsea fan, I'm a bit worried, because this could be that transfer that every football fan dreads. The one you pay a lot of money and literally does not pay off. You've seen Arsenal with Nicolas Pepe. 72 million went down the drain. I hope this is not our Pepe. I hope he performs. And there was another game that was played. It wasn't a qualifier. It was a friendly between Japan and Germany. Germany were home and they got hammered 4-1 off Japan. In fact, today, the coach of Germany has been sacked. And I mean, I was having an eye on that game as well. And Kai Havertz, maybe Chelsea, that's the best piece of business you've ever done, selling Kai Havertz to Arsenal. Because he's a passenger, And Germany should not be losing 4-1 to Japan at home. No chance. And rightfully so, the manager's been sacked. And it's a result business. So I watched that game. I saw bits of it here and there, and Japan were just roasting the Germans. And who could ever have thought anything like that could happen? So it's one of those things that actually, why you could raise your hands, and that result looked so out of place, and the manager rightfully lost his job. But some players in that team as well, Kai Havertz, shouldn't be picking him. He's been awful for Arsenal. He was awful for Chelsea. Apart from that goal he scored for us in the Champions League, he'll always be a legend at Chelsea because of that goal, beating City, 2021. He'll always be a legend. But the performances after that were really bad. Lastly, I was casting an eye as well on the African Cup of Nations. I'm a true football fan. And obviously, I've got an African background and always look at that competition. So there's a few teams that I've booked. Algeria, I've qualified Ghana, Angola, Mozambique, DRC, and a lot other teams have also made their. I think the last games are being played today, so we'll have a complete picture of what's actually happened. But one group I was looking at was the group that's got Algeria, and it's got Tanzania, it's got Uganda. Obviously, I had some kind of close persuasion towards that group, and I want to congratulate Tanzania for qualifying ahead of Uganda. So in East Africa, Uganda are the giants in that part of the world. But the coach has to go. Micho, I think the coach is called Micho, he needs to go. I was following their games, and the first game against Niger at home was absolutely pathetic. They played that a draw. And then Tanzania, they played another draw. So Tanzania, congratulations. So we'll end it here today, but keep watching the football, and until the Premier League comes back, we can't wait for it to come back. So stay tuned and give us a like. Relax.